Hello, I'm Sam Mentzer, the instructor slash manager at the Chattanooga Public Library's downtown recording studio. Today, I want to talk about a topic that I'm asked about a lot, and it's called mastering. What is mastering? What step does it play in the recording and production process? How to go about finding a mastering engineer? Should I master things myself? Lots of these questions come up during the open studio sessions, and I'd like this video to kind of shed some light on that as sort of an introduction, and then down the road, maybe put together some tutorials on some techniques I use when I'm mastering. And I think the best way to start this video is to just listen to a couple examples. So first we'll listen to a mix that is unmastered, and then we'll listen to a mix that has been mastered, and you'll be able to tell some differences between that.
I think I shed a few tears in with a headache and it started with I'll never forget or remember that night. So many shots of that hose in lime. They were swinging and swaying. I think I shed a few tears in with a headache and it started with.
Okay, so yes, obviously the second version was much louder, but if you listen closely, you'll notice that there's a lot more sort of enhancement in the upper frequency ranges, and there's other intricacies. There's more oomph to it, subjectively speaking. It has more of a body to the mix. It just sounds overall fuller package, and we can sort of break down the tools used to achieve this. But first, simply, what is mastering? And if we take a look at our production chain here, you'll see that it is the final step in the production process before the music is released. And how did mastering begin? Well, it actually started during the analog tape days, where a special employee known as a mastering engineer was used to convert the analog tape to a disc format that would be used to cut the vinyl. So vinyl it's a specific format that needed extra attention to during this conversion process. So the mastering engineer made these changes to make that happen and to enhance the record for the listening public, essentially. And the position has evolved since. There's been crazy advancements in technology and things to get to where we are now, but that purpose is still the same, where the song has been mixed and the mastering engineer's job is to prepare that for release on a whole bunch of different mediums, from streaming to vinyl. Back in the day, you had cassettes and things like that. CDs are still relevant. So that's what the mastering engineer does. And let's just have a quick snapshot of, what makes a mastering engineer different than other engineers in the recording field. Well, that's where they spent their 10,000 hours. To become a master of mastering, they've spent a lot of time doing this. And some people just master, 8-10 hours a day, and that's their job. They don't mix anymore. They don't record. They don't write songs. They don't do anything like that. They are a dedicated mastering engineer, and a lot of times they'll either own or work out of facilities specifically designed for mastering. Now, these facilities are going to be treated acoustically, so they're going to be very, very, very good listening environments. And the mastering engineer will know that environment like the back of their hand, so they'll be able to gauge how the work that comes in, the songs that come in that they're going to be mastering, are related to the rest of the world because they are a specialist in that particular facility. There's going to be a lot of high-end gear, outboard gear, and software specifically used for mastering. And there are some software, that we can get at home now, like Isotope Ozone is specifically designed for mastering. So, and then there's some that are PC based, specifically PC based mastering programs and things like that. So, know that there are specifically designed equipment, whether hardware or software, for the mastering process. A few examples of some tasks that a mastering engineer will handle. The first one shouldn't be relied on in mastering, and that's sort of removing extraneous noises and cleaning up recordings. This should really be done in the mixing stage, but sometimes a mastering engineer will be hired for a restoration purpose, and that's where that can come into play. But mostly what will happen is the mastering engineer will take a group of songs, a collection that will comprise an album, and what they'll do is they will enhance and balance these recordings to the point where they sound like a coherent and cohesive package, where one song might have been recorded in Virginia Beach and another one may have been recorded in Long Beach by different producers, engineers, mixed by different people. Yet when you hear them back to back on a record, they sound like they were recorded in the same place and time. So that's the mastering engineer's job, is to create this cohesiveness. And they'll also handle if you listen to a recording straight through, a record that is, one song to the next, there will be these very sort of musical pauses in between each song. So it's not one song running directly into another without any sort of chance to breathe. The mastering engineer will handle the fades. Now, if a song does go in directly to the next song, they'll also handle that transition too. Mastering engineers are experts at the different formats. So, if you need your music to be specifically released on streaming only, the mastering engineer knows how to maximize your music for that format. Or vinyl. Vinyl is totally different than how you would release something on CD, per se. Now, one caveat about mastering engineers is that, it's all going to come down to the mix, essentially. Like, mastering engineers are all different. Some might be more hands-on and really like dig in and add automation and do things to put their own like sort of fingerprint on the songs, but really what they're going to do is take a mix and make it better. And if you don't have a very good mix to begin with, there's not that much that they can do. So in the professional world, it's not uncommon for a mastering engineer to send a mix back and ask for a few changes. Now, some mastering engineers will just take what they get. They'll do their thing, and you get what you get. Now, if you are working with a mastering engineer, I want to list a few deliverables here that you should think about. And deliverables is what you are delivering to your mixes that you're delivering to the mastering engineer. Try to avoid too much compression and limiting and sort of narrowing your dynamic range on your mixes. And if this doesn't make any sense to you, then you probably don't need to worry about that yet. But what I'm talking about is adding compression on your stereo bus, or limiting your stereo bus to achieve a louder overall sound. This is the mastering engineer's job. Leave that to them. You are going to want to leave some headroom. So if you look at your software on the master fader, if that's blinking, then that means you don't have a lot of headroom. If it's blinking red, like you're running out of space. In the digital realm, we only have so much space for the totality of the recording. So a lot of engineers, mastering engineers, will ask for about 3 dB of headroom. 6 is not uncommon, and some are even less than 3. So it just depends on what that specific mastering engineer is looking for and how their workflow corresponds with how much headroom they need. You're going to want to deliver your material on either a high quality CD, which isn't as common as anymore, but definitely use a WAV file. Don't compress it into MP3 format and give the mastering engineer an MP3. You want to keep your recording at the highest possible standard as you've recorded it. So if you record a song at, even if it's 44.1K sample rate and 24-bit, don't reduce the bit depth. Just deliver the song at that sample rate and bit depth. 48K, 24-bit, deliver it at that same sample rate and bit depth. So don't reduce the sample rate and bit depth to give to the mastering engineer. Let them do that. Don't fade your songs. That's another thing, because the mastering engineer will be creating a musical fade that leads right into the next song. So don't put fades on your songs, even if they sound weird at the end without a fade. Just, say, hey, I want this song to fade. They'll probably know, but that's something in your correspondence to make known. Be aware that whatever leaves that mastering studio, once you approve the masters, that's going to be what's heard. So if you catch something, don't be afraid to point it out. And a little story that happened to me was I sent some mixes to a mastering engineer, got the masters back, and I noticed there was some audible hiss coming from one of the guitar speakers, actually the amplifier speakers, and it was unable to be removed from the stereo mix because there were other things going on, vocals and things in that frequency range. And once I heard it, it really bothered me, but it was enhanced during the mastering process. I didn't pick it up during the mixing process. I should have, but I didn't pick it up. So I had the choice of either living with that master where I would hear that every time, or going back, fixing it in my mix and resubmitting that mix and being charged again. Appreciate watching. Take care, everybody.